Now joining me is the co-creator of The Daily Show, and she happens to also be the founder and chief creative officer of Abortion Access Front. Liz Winstead, thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Now, Liz, you've been in the political satire world, and now you are fighting for abortion access. And we've seen it be attacked on all levels, especially coming out of the Supreme Court. What is something that you really want people to know right now?
You know, that's a question that's so hard because there's so many things. I think one of the first things that I want folks to understand is that abortion legislation is coming through states, and a lot of it is model legislation that's been crafted by interest groups, federal anti-abortion groups, who drop it in states that have friendly anti-abortion people in these legislatures to sail it through, and also states that are in lower courts that will push it through if it's challenged constitutionally to get it to the Supreme Court. We saw this happen in Mississippi, where just last week, the state of Mississippi, the Supreme Court weirdly granted the state of Mississippi a hearing on a law that was passed and shut down twice by lower courts, saying this law is a clear violation of Roe v. Wade, a clear violation of a person's constitutional right to access to abortion. And the Supreme Court said, we really don't care, we're gonna hear it anyway, which is a direct threat to Roe v. Wade. The Mississippi law says that you can't access abortion after 15 weeks. 24 weeks is what Roe v. Wade had stated is the law of the land and everyone's constitutional guaranteed right. So if the Supreme Court decides that this Mississippi law can be upheld, there's already 11 states that have something called a trigger ban, which means that if it goes into effect, they will ban abortion within 24 hours of that state, with more states looking at the Supreme Court taking this law and having that be a signal that they want to get trigger bans in place as well. It's a pretty scary time that we're in, and Roe v. Wade is very, very, very close to being overturned.
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds very, very much the case to be a very scary place to be. We feel like we're so close to being handsmaids, and it's also very strategic the way they seem to be doing it. Like Mississippi passing these laws that are clearly running afoul of Roe, but it seems they're trying to take advantage of the conservative majority on the Supreme Court. So, what do you think that the average citizen can do if they want to perhaps change the course of how this could potentially, turn out?
I think it's super, super crucial that as we watch these states, and it's really not federal legislation, as we watch these states passing these laws, it's really up to all of us to make sure that, let's get this Voting Rights Act signed so that we don't have elections that are just being thrown to a conservative majority and having them challenge it when they don't like the outcome, and really, really making sure that in your state, that you are working to get anti-abortion folks out of office, and B, really celebrating the people who fight against it, because they need to hear from you when you are like, I vote on this issue and thank you for standing up for my rights, because it's thankless to fight for it, it's thankless to vote for it, but also talk to your friends and neighbors, because this is an issue that is going to probably never go away, but can be mitigated by changing hearts and minds. We've seen it with marriage equality, and we've seen it with LGBTQ rights. We need to take the same tact with abortion rights. Everybody knows somebody who's had an abortion. Everybody loves somebody who's had an abortion. We need to talk about abortion and start recentering it to its proper place in a conversation, which is an ethical choice that someone might make. It is part of their reproductive care in their lifetime. And if we don't, then we're constantly going to be battling the stigma and being on the defensive, rather than saying, let's normalize abortion, let's talk about it, let's make sure everyone has access to it.
Yes, it's very kind of disheartening, since we know that historically abortions, they were normalized at a certain point in time. But then, hey, we've seen these shifts and these changes, and now we see one even more aggressively. And why do you think that people are taking such a strong stance against it and trying to tear it down?
I mean, I would say white supremacy being the foundation of our culture, when you give everyone access to their full potential, that is a massive crack in a white supremacist system. And that means that those who have not had their say or not been able to live their full destiny are able to choose to do so. That's terrifying to this structure that we're in. Also, it's always so surprising to me because I think they're terrified that somehow we would treat them the way we have treated them. And it's like, if we wanted to disempower you, we would have. The problem is we just want to live. We all just want to live. So how about that for an idea? We just want to live. But that's a threat to, the mediocre racist that has been handed so much just to live in the world.
Yeah, definitely. The white male patriarchy has a bit of problems, and the desire and kind of this push to control someone's sense of personal autonomy as a way to keep a control over them. It really also seems to intersect with a lot of racial issues we have today. As we know, abortions will, if they become inaccessible, will largely hurt women of color and individuals who have children, persons of color. And so we will see that impact there. And so is there anything that you're doing in particular to target uplifting the issue in terms of the impact that it has on the BiPOC community?
I mean, we always center those who will be affected most. And I think that what we do in our organization, which has been an incredibly rewarding thing, is we started a mutual aid program where we're teaming up folks with clinics and activists on the ground, giving them what they need. So teaming up like groups of friends and other organizations and individuals who people start their mutual aid lists and we help fulfill them. And the other thing that we do, and now that COVID's over, we're going to get back out on the road, but we do these comedy and music shows. And then throughout the show, it's like this really amazing variety show. And then within the show, we interview the local activists on the ground and the clinics who are providing the care, so that we can showcase the work that those folks are doing to our audiences. And then people can learn about how they can take action with the BiPOC-led organizations that are on the ground doing the work. And that has been one of the most rewarding things that we do in the work. So it's like getting people involved and getting people involved with organizations that have BiPOC leadership so that they know exactly what needs to be done to help the people who are affected the most.
That is really awesome. Yes, definitely. Making that change and targeting it where it can truly resonate is very big. And I know with Abortion Access Front, this is something that you founded and created. What made you want to get involved, especially since you had been more in the satire element?
I think for me, first of all, I'm somebody who's had more than one abortion, and it helped me stay on the path of what I wanted to do. And making sure that right is available to somebody else was crucially important. But also because I'd seen how using humor to drag hypocrisy for filth worked really well. And then when I saw that this issue was even within progressive spaces, like, can we not talk about that? It's a little polarizing. I'm like, it's all polarizing. So you want to know what? Now I just want to be able to bring what I've seen work in other areas that I've cared about to reproductive health rights and justice, so that people could see the bad guys and also see the intersections, because the folks who are out in front of clinics are the same folks who were at the Capitol during the insurrection, the same folks who are carrying their guns, the same anti-masking people, the same people trying to steal your vote, the same white nationalist organizations. The intersections are so great to be able to just expose to folks who might not see those intersections as well is really, really key.
Yes, it is. Definitely bringing that to the forefront. And we only have a few minutes left, but in terms of moving forward in the broader scheme of things, in terms of our world in general, what is on the forefront? What's coming up next for Liz Winstead?
What's coming up next for Liz Winstead is we are launching a show this fall, which I'm really excited about, a weekly YouTube show that's going to be basically a fun version that talks about issues of patriarchy, misogyny, abortion access, called Feminist Buzzkills Live. So you can go to our Facebook or our YouTube and subscribe now. And we are going to be relaunching our tour, and we're also doing a daily show 25th anniversary reunion that's to benefit Abortion Access Front with the original cast and Madeline Smithberg, my co-creator, and I. talking about the origins of the show as we hit the 25th anniversary.
That is absolutely fantastic. I love this. It's super exciting. And can you tell everybody where they can find you on social media?
Yeah, I am at Liz Winstead on all the socials. I spell my name with 2 Z's, but that's where I am, at Liz Winstead.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us, Liz.
Thank you so much. Pleasure to be here.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.